So I'm about to talk about this Sony 18-105 lens, the zoom lens that I finally got, and my experience with it. And one thing I wanted to include was me holding the camera like this, which you've seen 23,000 billion trillion times on other reviews or whatever. It's not really a review as much as just my experience with the lens and how I can lend you an opinion from someone who's not a professional filmmaker, but a professional artist, a performing artist, a playwright, and a burgeoning filmmaker. I'm learning. So anyway, I'm gonna put this up on the tripod now and talk about it, and I'll give you some examples of what I'm talking about too. All right, I'll see you in a minute. Okay, now to the main part of this review. And the reason I put quotes on it is because I am certainly not a professional photographer or videographer. I am, however, a professional performing artist, playwright, actor, musician. I've been a professional artist for a very long time, so I'm learning to be a filmmaker, and actually I'm finishing a full-length film right now that I actually shot on my cell phone, and it just changed my whole life. So yeah, I'm getting my 10,000 hours in, and I will be a filmmaker too at some point. But for now, what I'm doing is I'm just trying to lend the perspective from an artist who's trying to take things into his own hands, like to try to take control of certain things where I don't have to rely upon other people to do things for me, that I can do pretty well myself if I take the time to study and learn and respect the craft and just do the best I can. I mean, obviously, if I have a big budget, I'm going to reach out to a whole crew and collaborators and, you know, do everything in the best way possible, you know, but you know, you can't always do that. And you know, if you are even if you're not a professional artist, but if you're just you know, a hobbyist, or if you just do it for fun or whatever, if you just want to get stuff done, if you want to make films, if you want to make video, if you want to make a documentary, if you want to make like a video bio for yourself or whatever, it's good to learn this stuff and to get a handle on it enough to be able to kind of take control of your own life and do something for yourself. So I'm lending you my perspective in this case of this Sony 18-105 zoom lens. It's f.4. And I was really looking forward to getting it. And when I finally got hold of it, I hated it at first, but stay with me because that's not where that ends. So let me start with this first. Clear image zoom. So that's where your camera, you know, these Sony cameras can extend a prime lens and actually allow you to zoom out a little bit with a prime lens that's really just a fixed focal length. I use it especially on my Rokinon 12mm. You could hear I live in the Bronx, right? It's like sirens everywhere. I use it with my Rokinon 12mm f2.0 a lot, so I can use that as like a 16 or even an 18mm lens, which is kind of cool. And actually, I love that lens. I love the way it looks, and you know, it's pretty amazing. So I had that setting on in my camera. But I noticed when I use a zoom lens, whether it be the kit lens or this lens now, when I use the zoom rocker on the side and I just zoom automatically without using the manual you know, ring on the outside of the lens, it gets to the maximum focal length to 105, and then it hesitates for a second, and then it keeps going. And so obviously, if you're doing a professional project, that's not going to work, and you can't skip that. So I just want to say that I turned the clear image zoom off for this particular lens. So I'm just using it from 18-105, so I don't know. That's just a tip from me for my uses. That works better. I don't like that that hesitation, and if I'm missing something or if I'm not doing something right, and if you could leave in the comments maybe how I could fix that, let me know. But I have a feeling that's just the way it is. So anyway, let me share this story with you. I finally got this lens. I bought it on eBay. I got it for 300 bucks, and when I got it, I'm telling you, it was brand new. Like, it was in the original box. It had all the paperwork. There wasn't a scratch anywhere to be found. It just looked pristine. And I was like, wow, I'm lucky. So I put it on the camera right away. and I started using it, and I was like, this sucks. Like, I hated it. So just a little background, I have only prime lenses except for the kit lens. Well, actually, that's not true. So I've bought a few lenses, but I found them really cheap. I got a 35mm f1.8 Sony 50mm f1.8. I have the Rokinon, like I said. I have the kit lens, which I got with this camera, used on eBay, so I didn't pay for it at all. And I have the Sony 55-210, which is also a zoom lens, and which I love. I think it's an underrated lens. But I've been using pretty much solely the Rokinon and my 35mm lens. Like, those two lenses are on my camera 90% of the time. But I was really looking forward to getting this because, first of all, I wanted something in that kind of 18mm range, or, you know, it's really 27 with these crop sensor cameras. Oh, and I also have a Viltrox 23mm f1.4. And the reason I got that is because I wanted a proper 35mm look for my camera. And again, crop sensor, 1.5, so 23 is really 35. So I got this, put it on the camera, hated it, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to put this right back on eBay. I'm going to make like much more money than I just paid for it, and I'll be cool. And I'm just going to sit and wait for the Tamron 17-70. That's supposed to be like the greatest lens ever made for these cameras. And I'll just wait. You know, I just didn't feel like spending $800 right now. But then I thought, you know what? I only spent $300 for this thing, and everybody loves it. And I actually watched a video by Kyle Watts, whose work I actually love. And his video on the 18-105 looks so incredible. I just thought, like, you know what? I got to stick with it. Maybe I just, you know, I'm so inexperienced, I just don't know how to use this lens. So I decided to put it on my camera, use nothing else for a week, every day, all day. So everywhere I went, I took the well, I've been taking my camera with me everywhere I go anyway, because I'm trying to get my 10,000 hours in. But I left this lens on and I started to shoot. And at first I was just having problems getting anything good, you know. Oh, and I also got an ND filter. So I don't know. I think after a while, I really learned that I just had to hold the camera differently. It's a much heavier lens than I'm used to. It's a much longer lens than I'm used to. I mean, not to say that it's really heavy or that long, but it's certainly, you know, most of the lenses that I have are like pancake lenses practically. You know, the 35, the Viltrox is a little bit bigger, but this lens is heavier than all of them. So I just, you know, I was kind of manipulating my hands and my body to use it a little bit differently, looking through the viewfinder a little bit differently, and getting used to having access to so many focal lengths. You know, it was like I was, you know, trying to discipline myself on finding the way I wanted to look at something and just keeping myself there, you know, instead of just, you know, zooming because I could, you know what I mean? So I finally got used to it, and I actually have fallen in love with this lens, like, for a couple of reasons. One, obviously the flexibility, which is well documented. You know, you can watch 20 million videos about this lens, and it's really incredibly flexible. But also, I feel like it's got its own look. You know, like, I feel like it looks like itself. It's very unique unto itself, which I love. You know, it's almost like, you know, the way people talk about cinema lenses or a lot of vintage lenses, you know, and coming from the music business, like, I think of microphones like that, you know, like old vintage, you know, Sony C12s or Neumann mics, or, you know, sometimes, you know, old preamps like a Drummer 1960, these old Neve kind of, you know, modules that make, you know, give you a sound, like a grainy sound with character that, you know, some people might look at as a flaw. So, you know, yeah, this camera might not be the sharpest, although to me it's pretty sharp. But, you know, everybody says it's not the sharpest. It definitely has the look to it, you know, and I realized that, you know, I think I'm really, really learning to, you know, to be like Zen when I shoot, and to be as still as possible, and my outcome has become better and better. You know, like, the output that I'm getting is becoming really, really good, and I'm happier and happier with it, because I'm kind of approaching this camera like I did when I learned to play the guitar when I was a kid, or learned to play the piano. I just wanted to become one with the instrument, you know, to make it like a spiritual connection. And I'm finding the same thing with the camera, you know. So this lens, thumbs up. I mean, I love it. It's incredible. It has its own look. I think it's sharp enough. I think the fact that it's a f4 no matter where you go with your focal length, which means it's allowing the same amount of light in no matter how much you zoom in or out, is a real plus for video. Like, I didn't really understand why that would make such a big deal, but it makes a huge deal. You know, I think it makes zooming much more creative. But I'm also learning that I'm not into zooming that much, you know what I mean, like during a shot. I mean, I like to choose a focal length, and that's what the shot is. You know, I like to move a little bit. I don't want to be so stationary with all my shooting, but I'm not really into zooming that much, you know, and I think I would actually prefer to do that in post-production. But, you know, I find the flexibility of this camera great. And, oh, and I also noticed that the autofocus on this lens is much better than the kit lens. And actually, it just seems smart, like really smart. Like, I noticed I was shooting somebody out in the street, and I was shooting through my fire escape. And so this person was walking down the street, and it was, you know, the shot was passing the bars of my fire escape, and it just stayed focused on this person. Like, it was like the lens was smart, you know, it figured it out. Because I noticed with my 35mm, that, you know, that autofocus is crazy. Like, it just snaps all over the place. You know, I really have to guide the autofocus. And, you know, I'm somebody who uses manual focus most of the time, because when I shot my movie on my cell phone, I used the LG V40. I shot almost the whole thing using manual focus because the autofocus was just crazy, and I realized that I couldn't trust it. And also, the phone was not great in low light. It was actually horrible in low light, and the ISO on a phone was disgusting. So the only thing that really worked for me was manual focus. But I'm really starting to learn the potential and the convenience of autofocus, and the possibilities that it gives you for even more creativity. Like, you can just, you know, worry more about framing and the subject and the story, rather than whether or not this thing is going to be in focus. And in fact, you can even kind of get to know your lens and know when it's going to go out of focus and then back in focus. And, you know, as you know, in these Sony cameras, you can control the speed of the focus changing. You know, you can go into your settings and make it fast or medium or slow, the responsiveness. So anyway, I'm here to talk about the 18-105. I love it. I think it's very worth it, especially now with the Tamron that just came out. You can get this lens so cheap on eBay. And I got to tell you, I've bought almost everything that I got on eBay. And I spent less than $900 total for all my lenses. Seriously. Rokinon 12mm, Viltrox 23mm, Sony 35mm, Sony 50mm, Sony 55-210. I'm telling you, I did not spend even close to $1,000. And I got my camera for $800. All on YouTube, I mean, all on eBay. So, you know, just do your due diligence. Make sure that the seller is a good seller, has tons of reviews, tons of sales, a lot of experience and time, and just use your instincts. And, you know, eBay does have a policy where you have 14 days to send it back if it's messed up. So I trust it personally, but that's just me. You know, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you it's better than Amazon or better than the store or whatever. But for me, it's worked, and it's a good way to get stuff. You know, I mean, I could have spent thousands of dollars on this stuff, and I couldn't have done that right now. So I would have had 1 or 2 lenses, but now I have this kind of toolkit where I can really use these tools, these paintbrushes, to create my film work in a way that's really thoughtful. You know, like I really think about each shot. And I've been studying directors and, you know, cinematographers, and just, you know, just devouring videos and reading books and reading articles about how people use lenses and why, and colors and everything. So do your due diligence, you know, learn as much as you can, get, you know, the best tools that you can. You don't have to spend a lot of money. And that's it, you know, and have fun. So anyway, I'm going to show you some examples, or, you know, I don't know. I'm doing this right now. I haven't edited it yet, obviously, so maybe I've shown you some examples already. But if not, I'm going to show you some examples now as I finish this video. Thank you so much for following me. The next video that I do is going to be the beginning of my search for my biological father project, which is going to be a film. It's going to wind up being a full-length film. I'm shooting it in episodes, and I'm going to share my process here on eBay. which is kind of cool. I actually share all my work. Every play that I've ever written, I've shared my developmental process. I've developed plays out in the streets, you know, in clubs and abandoned storefronts. Like I've shared it in public. I've gone on tours and gone around the country and out of the country, and you know, each project that I do winds up being like a 5 or 6 year process. So I have a play that I'll be performing pretty soon. Keep you posted on that. If you want to follow me on social media or whatever, you could just follow here. And again, I'm beginning to endeavor upon this new film project about my biological father. So that'll be the next video that I put up here. Thank you very much for noticing me and being kind enough to come receive what I have to contribute. So I hope this finds you well. I hope everybody that you love is well. And if that's not the case with you, my heart goes out to you. I know it's been an incredibly difficult time. The past year and a half has been crazy, and it continues to be crazy, especially in certain parts of the country. So I know a lot of people are going through some really, really deep stuff, whether it be COVID or the heat, the economy, money, jobs. You know, I had so many live performances canceled, and you know, I don't know when I'm going to be able to get back on stage, which is the way I've earned my living for a long time. So just trying to figure things out. I'm wishing you the best. I'm wishing me the best. I'm wishing all of us the best. And I thank you so much. And I hope you're feeling optimistic. I am. And I will see you next time. All right. Take care of yourself. Peace.